Hanging is one of the simplest and most underutilized ways to improve your posture and heal your shoulder injuries. At least if you listen to the hype on YouTube. In this video, I'll explain why people hang, how one doctor prescribes hanging to his patients, helping 90% of them avoid injury, and how my body's changed after hanging every day for a year. But first, if you're new to the channel, hi, my name's Clem. I'm a strength conditioning coach and a heavyweight gymnastic enthusiast. Before we get too far along, we need to look at what hanging actually is, and to do that, we need to understand your shoulder joint, which has evolved for hanging and climbing. Aside from apes, we're the only ones with shoulders that have got such an incredible range of motion that lets us carry, swing, and reach. But because it isn't a deep ball and socket joint like our hips, it is very, very prone to getting injured, especially if you train a lot or you do a lot of physical labor or spend lots of time behind a desk, which nowadays covers most of us. So why? Shoulder injury, in fact, most injury is caused by poor posture and mobility, and that stems from overdeveloped muscular imbalances. That could be super tight pec muscles from benching and then just sitting at a desk all day, or it could be from overuse in one very specific range of motion, like one of my clients, Anya, who had shoulder injuries from years of playing violin. Now, a lot of people end up getting surgery, but one doctor, Dr. John M. Kirsch, reported prescribing hanging to his patients who were recommended for shoulder surgery, and 90% of them ended up not needing that surgery. You can read more about that in his book, which I'll link up here. So after a year of hanging every day, how has my body changed? Well, for one, my grip strength has gotten a lot better, which is a huge plus, as multiple studies have demonstrated a very significant association between grip strength and overall lifespan. Unfortunately, with that additional strength, my hands started to claw up a little bit after a few months, which I have to be very careful of because I've got metal plates in my hand and in my wrist. So to add some yin to my yang, I added in some extension exercises to train the antagonistic or the opposing extensor muscles in the hands and the forearms, which helped to fix that problem. While I don't personally experience shoulder pain, so saw no benefit there, my overhead mobility is much better now, and I've been accumulating more pull-ups than I normally would, just by tacking on a couple of reps either before or after a hanging set. My arms and my lats have also gotten much, much thicker, but we'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. An unexpected benefit was the decompression of my spine. Now, when I started hanging, my neck, my back, they'd all crack and pop as my body started to lengthen out from the gravity of just hanging there. Now I feel I have much more range and my back just feels much less compressed than it used to. Some people do say that hanging makes you taller. I haven't seen that personally. I stand at 6'1" normally, but hey, maybe in another year I will end up at 6'2". So what's the easiest way to start hanging? Well, before I tell you, if you've been enjoying this video so far, don't forget to press that like button, and there's no harm in pressing subscribe while you're down there as well. It lets YouTube know that this is valuable content and helps me help more people just like you. If you want to start hanging, there's lots of different ways to do it, from designated hang sessions like these to using it as an active rest. Now, personally, I don't work out every day, so what worked best for me was accumulation training. Whether I was in the gym, outside, or at work, anytime I saw something that I could hang off, regardless of what it was, I would. Normally, I'd end up using an overhand grip like this, but sometimes I'll switch it to an underhand grip or even a mixed grip, and I do a few chin-ups or pull-ups to start or end the set. Now, I don't think hanging itself caused much hypertrophy, but that extra volume on my pulling movements definitely did. And at my hanging peak a couple of months ago, I could do 18 rep pull-up sets at 235 pounds. My chest also feels much looser now, which has improved my overall posture and given my shoulders a much wider, broader appearance, which in turn has helped create that V-taper physique, even though I've got quite broad hips. So here's some of the key points that I've learned to help you get the most out of the basic hang. One, if you can, use chalk, or if you've got them, grips like these. just to help create some more friction. Friction is king, and sweat is going to be a killer for that, especially on metal bars like these. So these sorts of tools can really help. Even still, your grip is going to be the first failure point. It's going to be the thing that gives out, but don't worry, that will get stronger very quickly. It just takes a bit of time. Number two, there are two different types of hang to work. You've got your active and your passive hang. Keep your shoulders relaxed and up towards the ears for passive hangs, and then straight down and away from the ears for active hangs. Make sure you're not pulling back on this one. We just want to be going straight down. And yes, you do need to be training both kinds. Number three is ribs. When it comes to your ribs, you want to keep them pulled down, and you do that by keeping very slight tension in your core muscles. Now, if that's a brand new concept for you, practice this movement. It's called a hollow body hold, and it's absolute rocket fuel for your abdominal muscles. Just make sure to keep your lower back cemented into the floor. Number four, hand position matters. Ideally, you want to be looking shoulder width apart, but as you get stronger, you can start to mix that up. I've been doing a lot of snatch grip hangs recently to help with my overhead position in Olympic lifting. Lastly, take it slow. You really don't need to rush to take your feet off the ground. If it's uncomfortable, try using a box for a little support, or even hovering one toe at a time is fine as you progress. Hanging isn't going to be mending your shoulders or stiffness in a single session. So very much play the long game and start slow. And of course, you want this to feel like a nice stretch. It should feel good. So if you're in noticeable pain, if you've got any pinching or tingling sensations in and around the shoulder joint, go and speak to the doctor. But if you don't, then you are really good to go with these ones. As with all things though, there are levels. The gold standard is 60 seconds unbroken, but for most of us, that's something that we're going to need to build up to over time. Accumulation training is probably the quickest and easiest way to do that. You set your end goal, in this case 60 seconds, and over the course of several short sets, you look to hit that number each and every day, or every other day, depending how often you personally plan to hang. My top tip after a year of doing this is do not try and hold on for too long, or your forearms will blow up and not work anymore. Your forearms are small muscles, and once they're gone, then they're gone. So stop before you drop from the bar with exhaustion, rest a minute, and then go again. You want to do that as many times as it takes to hit your 1 minute total, and keep going till you can hang for 1 minute non-stop. But what if 2 arms is easy? That is a great question, and this is where you need to start developing your active hang position and your ability to be able to go from active to passive under control. Once you can comfortably hang for a whole minute, and you can then do 10 to 20 reps of passive to active hangs, you can start building up to 1-arm hangs by starting with 2 hands on the bar like this, and then reaching down to touch the top of your head before changing arms and reaching down to press that subscribe button. Just watch out, because while you might think moving from 2 to 1-arm hangs means half the arms, so double the effort, it's actually much, much harder than that. So be very careful. Keep your feet within touching distance of the ground, and once you can hold a single arm hang for about 10 seconds at a time, then you can start practicing even more advanced movements like very dynamic hangs, or even jumping from bar to bar like you might have used to on monkey bars as a kid, which is a little bit of a forgotten skill for most adults nowadays. Have you tried hanging? Are you planning to? Let me know in the comment section down below this video. As always, appreciate you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Have a great day.